This is the story of a man who saw the world differently and changed it forever. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, wasn't just a tech pioneer. He was a visionary, a perfectionist, a master of design, and also a deeply complex human being. Walter Isaacson's biography, built on over 40 interviews with Jobs and hundreds more with friends, family, and colleagues, paints an unfiltered portrait of one of the most fascinating figures in modern history. Today, we'll explore the genius, the flaws, and the fire behind the man who made "Think Different" more than just a slogan. 1. A complicated beginning. Steve Jobs was born in 1955 in San Francisco and adopted shortly after birth by Paul and Clara Jobs. From early on, he displayed intensity, rebellion, and a hunger to explore. As a child, he was smart, restless, and fascinated by machines. Jobs grew up in Silicon Valley, surrounded by engineers and early tech innovation. His adoptive father, Paul, taught him the value of craftsmanship, not just in what people see, but in what they don't. That idea stuck with Jobs for life. Care about the details, even the invisible ones. But Jobs also struggled with authority. He dropped out of Reed College after one semester, choosing instead to follow intuition, sitting in on calligraphy classes, exploring Eastern philosophy, and even traveling to India in search of spiritual clarity. These experiences shaped a mind that fused technology with artistry and intuition with intellect. 2. Apple begins in a garage. In 1976, Steve Jobs teamed up with his friend Steve Wozniak, WOZ, a brilliant engineer. They started building the Apple I computer in Jobs' parents' garage. Jobs wasn't the tech guy, he was the dreamer, the marketer, the visionary. He had a sense of what people wanted before they did. He sold the idea that computers weren't just for nerds, they were for everyone. Their second product, the Apple II, became a massive hit and helped launch the personal computer revolution. Jobs was just 21. From the start, he obsessed over design. He wanted machines to be beautiful, intuitive, and almost spiritual. That obsession would define Apple for decades. 3. Success, ego, and failure. In the early 1980s, Jobs led the creation of the Macintosh, a sleek, revolutionary machine with a graphical interface. It was beautiful, ahead of its time, and a commercial disappointment at first. Internally, Jobs became difficult. He was brilliant, but also volatile. He screamed at employees, demanded perfection, and refused to compromise. People either adored him or feared him, sometimes both. In 1985, after a power struggle with then CEO John Sculley, Jobs was forced out of Apple, the company he had founded. It was one of the lowest points of his life, but also, as he would later say, a blessing in disguise. 4. The Wilderness Years, Pixar and Next. After leaving Apple, Jobs founded Next, a new computer company aimed at education and design. The product was elegant, but too expensive, another commercial failure. But during this time, Jobs also bought a small animation studio from George Lucas. That company became Pixar. Through Pixar, Jobs helped produce Toy Story, the first fully computer-animated film, and it was a smash hit. Pixar revolutionized animation, and Jobs proved he wasn't done changing industries. Next, while not a huge success, developed software that would later become the foundation of macOS. Jobs didn't know it then, but Next would eventually lead him back home. 5. Return to Apple, the second act. In 1997, Apple was struggling. It was losing money, market share, and direction. So Apple bought Next and brought Steve Jobs back. His return marked one of the greatest corporate turnarounds in history. Jobs simplified Apple's product line, slashed waste, and focused the company on innovation. The result? The iMac, then the iPod, then iTunes, then the iPhone, then the iPad. Each product blended elegant design, user-focused simplicity, and cutting-edge tech. Jobs wasn't just selling devices, he was selling a lifestyle. He brought emotion into technology. He made products feel human. 6. Design, control, and perfectionism. Jobs was notoriously demanding. He wanted every button, every font, every package to be perfect. He believed in end-to-end control. Apple designed the hardware, software, and even the retail experience. To Jobs, the user should never feel friction. Everything should just work. He was known to fire people over small details, or push teams to redo months of work because a shade of blue didn't feel right. But those standards created something rare, technology that people didn't just use, they loved. Jobs once said, "Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works." That mindset is now built into Apple's DNA. 7. The personal side, love, family, and regrets. Behind the scenes, Jobs' personal life was messy. He denied paternity of his first daughter, Lisa, for years, even as he named a computer after her. He was distant, emotionally closed off, and often cruel. Eventually, he repaired many of these relationships. He married Laureen Powell and had 3 more children. He also tried to be a better father, though he struggled with the same intensity he brought to work. Jobs was deeply spiritual, a Zen Buddhist. He believed in intuition, silence, and focus. But he also battled contradictions, craving control while chasing freedom. 8. Illness and legacy. In 2003, Jobs was diagnosed with a rare form of pancreatic cancer. At first, he delayed treatment, hoping to heal through diet and alternative methods. Later, he underwent surgery and treatment, but the disease returned. Even as his health declined, he pushed forward. He introduced the iPhone in 2007, the iPad in 2010, and continued to lead Apple until shortly before his death in 2011. Jobs passed away at age 56. He had changed music, movies, phones, computers, and left a legacy that extended far beyond business. He reminded the world that technology could be artistic, that intuition could matter more than data, that the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Practical takeaways from Jobs' life. Focus is power. Saying no to 1,000 things lets you say yes to what matters. Details matter, even the invisible ones. Excellence lives in the small things. Intuition is underrated. Jobs trusted his gut, and it led to massive breakthroughs. You don't need to code to lead in tech. Jobs couldn't program, but he knew how to inspire. Legacy is not just what you build, it's how you inspire others to think. Steve Jobs wasn't perfect. He was difficult, demanding, and often cold. But he was also a rare visionary, someone who saw not just what technology could do, but what it could mean. He fused art with engineering, emotion with function. He made technology personal. Walter Isaacson's biography captures a life of paradoxes, painful flaws alongside brilliant genius. And in the end, it gives us more than a story. It gives us a reflection. Thanks for listening to this audiobook summary from Vibary. If you found it inspiring, check out our other Memoir and True Story audiobooks every Tuesday. Subscribe and keep listening, because stories like this remind us just how far vision can go.